All right, music fans, welcome back. It is me again, Dave, the real music observer, observing real music in real time for real people, just like you right there, and yours truly right here. Another one of those videos where somebody shouldn't have gotten kicked out of their band, and this one is kind of a Captain Obvious one. Mr. Sammy Hagar should have never been booted out of Van Halen. And it all stems from what I understand, according to Sammy, is that the guy who was managing Van Halen at the time was telling Eddie Van Halen that, hey man, this is your band, and you don't want this Sammy guy telling you what to do and so forth. You need to reassert control, and you need to be the person who's in charge. Well, here's the deal. Eddie Van Halen, one of the most brilliant guitar players who's ever lived, just an amazing talent, a guy who pretty much taught himself a new way to play the guitar. It's a fact. And again, in the early days, you had Dave, and of course, Dave was the ultimate showman, but Dave decided that he was bigger than Van Halen in the 1980s. After 1984 comes out, you think that album tops the world and the sky is the limit. And what does Dave do? Dave says, see you later, which, I don't know, some of the worst timing in music history for a guy to bail on his band. And so they replaced him. And their replacement was a very good, bold choice. It created a lot of buzz back in those days, because I remember when 5150 came out. And, it wasn't a criminally insane album. It was criminally good. And it really did sort of mesh the best of both worlds, much like the song. And here's the thing. Sammy could sing anything that Eddie wanted him to sing. His range was better than Dave's. Dave was already starting to struggle with some of those high notes, and Dave's voice would really only hold up fairly well, probably for another 3 or 4 years. By the time you get to Dave's 90s solo offerings, you're really seeing a change in the way he's singing, the way the songs are written, and so forth. Whereas Sammy was singing high and strong right through his tenure with Van Halen. In fact, Sammy's vocal issues only really started to show up maybe 8 or 9 years ago. When I saw him with the first, I think on the first Chickenfoot album, he was still right there. There was nothing going on with his voice. I think, when you hit 70 and you're singing like he used to sing, I think at that point it's not the same thing, and you just can't expect it to be. I mean, he looks fantastic. It's probably just the tequila. Everybody says it's, good living and tequila, and I would probably say yes. Which, it's a great formula for life, huh? So, but why he was booted out was just amazing. That somebody got in between him and Eddie and basically made Eddie paranoid, and then Sammy is gone, and Sammy has offered olive branches, olive trunks, olive trees to Eddie, and Eddie has basically rebuffed him, and it got so bad that Dave was recruited back. And look, my apologies, by the way, to Gary Cherone, who was also brought into Van Halen, who really got a raw deal both by the media at that time and critics and just fans in general. Look, Gary, just an incredible singer, probably wasn't the right guy for Van Halen, but if you watch some of that footage where he was the vocalist, he's actually pretty good. It's just that you've had two really high-profile guys already, and Gary Cherone was kind of a letdown based on the profile those other two guys had, even though the band Extreme was pretty huge in the early 1990s. I mean, they were everywhere for a couple of years, and then the music crashed on them when grunge came aboard and dominated. But the big thing here is Sammy Hagar should be still in Van Halen. He really should be. He earned the right to be there. He wanted to be there, whereas Dave, for quite a long time, didn't want to be in Van Halen. Everybody wanted back in, though, when they realized all their other stuff was going south. See, Sammy gave up his solo career, which was really starting to kick into high gear, to join Van Halen. So all of that continuity, he lost it. He probably only would have had it for a few more years based on the music industry, whereas Van Halen kind of keeps their fans and their momentum going probably a lot longer if Sammy sticks around. So that's my opinion. You also got to think about Michael Anthony, too, who is really, a guy who was used and then abused a lot by the Van Halen brothers, especially considering that he and Sammy became fast friends. Those high vocals and his bass playing all made for the entire Van Halen experience. Again, with apologies to Wolfie, who isn't bad. He's a pretty good bass player. But the point is, they blew this whole thing up when they had Michael and Sammy, and that was a mistake. But Dave's back now. If they ever come back, we shall see if they do another record. That will be very interesting if they do. Okay, done with this one. Sammy Hagar, again, shouldn't have been booted, and it's obvious. Any rock fan could tell you that was a dumb move. See you soon.